whenever.
Hi, I'm Roy Kapp, and I'm one of the instructors here at Delphi, and I'm going to talk to you today a little bit about some of the various fiber products. Now, these are all made up of ceramic fibers, and they use an organic binder to hold the fibers together. So often in the kiln, when this is burning, it'll burn off the organic binder. Now, it's non-toxic. Often what you might get is kind of like a burnt sugar smell is what it always smells like to me. I guess the thicker products will have obviously a little bit more stuff burning off. This particular fiber product here is called fiber paper. You'll notice how thin it is. This one is called thin fire. It's great for using on the bottom of your shelf instead of using kiln wash, so the glass doesn't stick to the shelf. You can cut it into whatever size you need. It comes in pieces like this, or it comes on a nice big roll depending on what you need it for, but really it's just a barrier between the glass and the ceramic shelf. Now, another advantage to using this really nice thin fiber paper is that the surface is really smooth, so when you fuse on this, when you do a full fuse, the backs are going to end up being real nice and smooth. You don't get any kind of texture on the back of them. The slight disadvantage of using a product like this is that since the organic binder is burning out of this, it essentially just turns into a dust. And so it's really, in that regard, not reusable. I use it sometimes in slumping, and this is done on what's called a fluoroformer. The fluoroformer looks like this. They're usually made out of stainless steel. And again, when we're doing slumping temperatures, I did this particular one at 1225 degrees. You know, the glass will want to stick to this, so we need some kind of a barrier on here. So what I do is I'll cut a piece of fiber paper that is just a hair bigger than what I'm trying to do, and then put this on the fluoroformer, and now when you slump this in the kiln, as the glass falls down, it touches the paper falls down, and then the paper acts again as a barrier between the glass and the stainless steel fluoroformer, and then you can, you know, remove your piece without any problems. Again, here's another fiber paper that we sell, again made up of ceramic, and this one is about 1/32 of an inch thick, so I don't know how well it shows on the video, but it is thicker than the previous stuff that I showed you. The first paper I showed was really smooth, and it's really thin. I mean, when you look at it, it looks almost exactly like normal typing paper or something. So this paper here, this slightly thicker paper, has a little bit more of a texture to it. There's a little more substance to it. And because of that, it does tend to leave a little more texture on the back of your glass. But the real nice advantage to this is that you can often use it more than once. So even though the binder burns out of this, the fibers hold together well enough that you can probably use it multiple times before you start to run into problems. A couple of our customers actually will take an old rolling pin, and after they've fired it, they'll roll it down again to just compact the fibers back together, and it seems to hold the paper together, and it lasts a little bit longer that way. Another use for this kind of a paper is sometimes people use it just for the texture. So what's nice is you can cut this up into different shapes, and then you can sometimes get that pattern to kind of fuse into the glass. I've got some examples I'll show you a little bit later of some other ones, but this is the next size thicker paper. Now, here's another ceramic fiber product that is like the paper but a little thicker. This one is 1/8 of an inch thick, and they sometimes refer to it as fiber felt. It is smooth. A lot of the thicker papers will be a little bit smoother on one side, and then on the back sides they have a little bit more of a texture. And again, you can use this to your advantage. You know, if you're fusing something that is, in particular, if it's transparent and you don't want it to be totally smooth, it's nice sometimes to put a little subtle texture on it, and this paper will do that for you. The other real nice advantage to this paper, again, is that you can cut it with a pair of scissors, and you can cut it into shapes, and then by fusing on top of the paper, you can create those shapes into the glass. This particular one you can see is a maple leaf. This is 2 layers of glass. You want to definitely use at least more than 1 layer, right? 2 or maybe 3 layers, because you need the glass to have some weight to it so it'll want to fall into the holes that you're cutting out. But we cut out a leaf and then slumped into that. And so you can see this kind of raised surface of the leaf on here. Another way of doing it is to cut your shapes. Here these feet shape were cut out of the paper, then laid on the bottom of the shelf, and then the glass was set on top of that and then fused. So then now you get a kind of an impression of the feet in the tile, as opposed to when we did this maple leaf, the leaf looks raised. The 1/8 inch paper is also great for doing this sort of a thing. This is sometimes referred to as a pocket vase, and so the 1/8 inch paper was cut into these flower designs, and then when this was fused, it was fused on to leave the designs. We've also, you'll notice that there's some fiber paper on the inside here these pocket vases. There's a place to put dried flowers or something in here. And so in order to create this pocket, we'll put fiber paper in, or the fiber felt, inside here. On this one, I used the slightly thicker paper that's a 1/4 of an inch thick. This is the 1/4 inch fiber felt paper, so a little bit thicker. It's great again if you're doing things like the pocket vases when I showed an example of that. We also use it sometimes just to create some texture in the glass. This particular bowl here was fired multiple times to kind of create some of this texture that was on there, and it's probably easier almost to see from the backside. You can see some of the pattern that's put in here. All of this isn't layers of glass. It's actually just from the different fiber papers that were cut and then laid on here. When the piece was fused over it, you need to get the glass hot enough so it takes on the texture of the paper. So we do it at a full fuse temperature. This particular one, we used a variety of different thicknesses of paper in here to create the different layers of. Another real nice thing about using the fiber felts, either the 1/8 inch or the 1/4 inch one, is when you're doing jewelry pieces. So by taking the fiber felt and cutting it into a small piece, you can put it through your glass as you're fusing it, and this will create a hole or a cavity coming this way, so it acts more like a slide on a necklace, right? The chain is going to come around this way. I just took the fiber felt and I just came in here and just cut like a real thin little strip off the end of it. This part then just goes in between the layers of glass when you're fusing. One of the tricks that I often will do is, in order to disguise this a little bit, is on this pendant I covered it in black so you don't really see it. So once this gets kind of pulled out of there, you can't tell, except for how it's kind of raised up, but you don't really see where this kind of goes through a little bit. Oh, well, I did one on clear to show you how this one looks a little differently. Another great thing that the fiber felts are good for is acting as a barrier between a dam and your glass. So if you need to dam your glass for some reason, if you're doing making pattern bars, for example, is a good reason, or anytime you're working with more than 2 layers of glass, the glass wants to spread out, so you need to dam it or hold it in place, and so the fiber felts act as a great way of keeping the glass in place. So what you want to do is just put some fiber felt up along the dams when you're setting up your dams. Really, the 1/8 inch or 1/4 inch thick fiber felt is better. And the reason why is because as the glass kind of spreads a bit, it'll give a little more space so you can remove the dams a little easier. So you can see here I've got one, I'm just setting up the dams to kind of give you an idea of how that's done. So this is, you can see how the dams are here, the fiber felt is here, the last piece would come in like this. And we've created a dam inside here, and there's fiber paper inside there so the glass won't stick. Another fiber product is something that's really quite unique, I think, is this fiber rope. Again, it's made up of ceramic fibers, and it comes, on a much, I think, like 8 feet long or something. I've already cut a small piece off just to show you what it looks like. Like rope, you can unravel it. So what's nice about this is that you can use whatever size you want to use. If you're doing something, you need something nice and big, or you can use one of the smaller pieces, and it comes all the way down until it's down as fine as this. This is another great way also of doing, if you're doing jewelry work and you need a hole going through your piece, you can use this instead of the 1/8 inch fiber paper. What's nice about this is it does give you more of a round hole, which some people seem to prefer a little bit more. You can see, with a pair of scissors, it really cuts quite easy. And this bowl was done using the rope. All that the artist did here in this situation was take it, kind of crisscross it on there, and put the glass over it and fuse it on. But you can see it creates this really, really nice, almost a woven-like texture that you couldn't have got, just with the glass alone. So the last product I want to talk about is fiber board. It comes in 1 inch or 1/2 inch. This is an example of the 1/2 inch board. Here's a bowl that we made using a drop ring. So you can see out of the fiber board, what we've done is cut out this shape, and then this becomes the drop ring. This part of the fiber board becomes the mold for fusing the glass. So we'll attach this to another board, fill it with frit or small pieces of glass. It's a great way, again, of using up scrap if you have some. And then we'll fuse this till it becomes into a single patty. That single piece of glass then goes on top of the drop ring. We're going to hold this up off the kiln shelf by using kiln posts. And then we're going to heat this up till the glass gets soft enough and falls through and touches the kiln, and you end up with a bowl that looks similar to this. Another fiber product is this fiber blanket. You can see it's much thicker than all the other products that I've shown you so far. It is also quite soft. You have to be a little careful sometimes that the fibers can get a little loose. That doesn't bother me handling it. I know some people sometimes it pokes their fingers a little bit, but it can be used for a variety of things. Sometimes people, flame workers, will use this product as a way of cooling down their stuff after they take it out of the flame. It's really not used for annealing, but if you're trying to cool your pieces so they don't thermal shock too quickly, what they'll do is, especially beads, while they're on here, they'll just kind of set them down and keep them in there. And it's just acts as an insulator to keep the pieces warm. Another great use for this is it can be used as a mold material. You can add something called rigidizer. This is a product that you can soak into this, and then now this you can form into different shapes, and then you can slump over it or fuse onto it to add some dimension or texture to your piece. There's a kiln manufacturer that is using this as a way of kind of controlling the climate in a kiln or around the kiln. So while your kiln is firing, you can actually place this on top, and what it does is help hold the heat into your kiln a little bit. So it doesn't really make it work any faster, but it certainly probably make it work a little more efficiently. So those are just some of the different fiber products that we offer here at Delphi. If you have any further questions or about them, you can certainly give us a call here, or you can check us out on the web.